in our middle of a sermon series called Reap. And this is all about how we live harvest-oriented lives. It's part of the reason I love fall. I like to think about harvest. I like to think about what my own life is about. What am I harvesting in my own life? And as I think about that this season, I just think about it today. Today marks my 1-year anniversary as being your pastor. Been thinking about so much over the last 12 months. Who are we as a people? What have we done? What have we accomplished? What are all the things that we haven't accomplished? All the things that are in front of us. And in the middle of all those questions, I begin to ask other reflective questions. Questions like this: why am I here? Why am I here? She said, I can't leave. I agree. I don't think I can leave either. Why am I here? Along with that comes this other question. Why are you here? Why are you in the various places of your life? Do you believe the various circumstances, the various spaces, your neighborhood, your household, your community, your job, your community organizations, do you believe that you're a part of those for a reason, for a purpose? That perhaps God has placed you in those places on purpose, that you are uniquely gifted to be in those places in life that perhaps no one else can do what you've been placed to do in those places in life. And the third question I want you to think about is this: why are we here? Why are we here as Grace Presbyterian Church? Why are you with this group of people? Why are we here in this spot? Why did so many years ago a group of you decide that when you were over there in East Littleton, West Centennial, whatever that's considered to be over there, did you look across a place that was even emptier than it is now and say, we need to move there. We need to move here in this place, on the edge of Highlands Ranch, on the frontiers of our faith together. Why are we here in this place? And so I want us to do some introspection this morning. I want us to look ourselves in the mirror and ask those purpose questions, those big whys. Why am I here? Why are you here? Why are we here at this time, in this place? Because I want to persuade you this morning, just as I did last week, that our lives together, that my life and your life is not about the self. It's not about the stuff. It's not about power. It's not about positions. It's not about all of those things that we tend to gather to ourselves as suburbanites. That's not about getting. It's not about gaining. But instead, it's about giving our lives away. Last week, we talked about goodness and what it truly means to be good. This week, I want to talk about being great. What does it mean to be great? Because that's where our text goes today. In Matthew, it moved from this question of good to this question of greatness. In James and John, two of Jesus, in at least Mark's Gospel, some of the dumbest disciples he has, come to Jesus, as they have before in the Gospel of Mark, and they ask Jesus this question: hey Jesus, we want you to do for us whatever we ask of you. Which seems like a pretty immature question if you ask me. And yet, how often does Justin Spurlock here find himself approaching the throne of God with some sort of selfish question just like that? How often do you and I approach our faith, approach our God with questions focused on what can I get from you, O divine genie in the sky? Right? I mean, if we go back to when we were little, Some of us just wanted a pony, right? God, give me that pony, give me that horse, right? Give me that bicycle. As we got older, I remember being 16, I remember my prayers, God, I just want a brand new car, that's all. I just want a brand new car, come on. Even at 38, God, please just give me a brand new car. Come on. So many of my prayers are so self-interested. And so I find that even though these disciples are pretty dumb, pretty stupid, Justin Spurlock finds himself pretty dumb, pretty stupid sometimes, pretty immature. Jesus, on the other hand, is gracious. His answer back to them is, well, what would you like me to do for you? And implied in that question, like almost any parent to a child, is if you ask the right question, I may grant it to you. Right? If it's the right thing to ask for, sure. And so they ask their question, and Jesus kind of looks at them and goes, are you ready to do what I do? Are you ready to go through the suffering that I'm about to suffer? Are you ready to enter the depths of pain that my life is all about? Are you ready to drink of that cup and be baptized with that kind of baptism? Disciples, once again, sure. Yeah, why not, Jesus? We can do it. And then Jesus drops this on them. Indeed, you will drink of the cup that I will drink of. You will be baptized with that same baptism. But to sit on my left and right, I have no control, no power. I can't grant that to you. And here is why. Because Jesus' kingdom, God's reign, what God promises you and I, has nothing to do with being on top. It has nothing to do with being first. It has nothing to do with the comforts of life. It has nothing to do with riches or power or status or any of those things. If you have those, fantastic. That's not what it's all about. Instead, Jesus says, I came to give my life. I came to be a servant. In fact, he goes on to say, I came to be a slave of everyone. I was sent to give my life as a ransom for many. Now, in church, we throw around these terms like servants, servanthood, slaves. I want you to think about that image real quick. Put the image of slave right here in your mind. This is a person who is destitute, who has nothing. In fact, it maybe have been taken away. Okay? This is a person who no longer has their own volition, their own will. They have literally given their actual sense of self to someone else. In this case, it's by choice. In this case, in Jesus' discipleship method, it's you and I give that up and over to someone else. And in this case, someone else is everybody. And you and I are here to enslave ourselves to other people. That's what Jesus did. We know that. We know that's part of the story. And we know that Jesus says, come follow me, take up your cross, be like me, he essentially says, right? Be like Jesus. And yet, somehow, we stop in our metaphor, in our symbolism, in our logic, in our steps, and go, well, that's really just for Jesus. Not for me. Not for us. And yet, this is how Jesus defines greatness. Greatness is getting on our knees and serving serving the needs, the desperations, the chaos, the losses, the pain, the suffering, the wounds of somebody else. Why am I here? Why are you here? Why are we here? It's so that we can give our lives away for the needs, desperations, chaos, frenzy, franticness, needs, problems of this world that we occupy right now. Think about your households, think about your neighborhoods, think about your schools, think about your grandkids, think about your jobs, think about your schools, think about your community organizations, think about this church, think about the ministries, think about all of those things. You and I are here to give our lives on behalf of all of that and all of those people. When we do that, we discover true greatness. When we serve, when we enslave ourselves to that, the world changes. Our lives change. We find purpose, mission, vision, significance, legacy. Why am I, Justin Spurlock, here at this church? It's because you are a group of people who have desperately put out a vision of saying, we are here in this place so we can go out into the world and serve the longings and losses, the wounds and the wonders, the dreams and the nightmares of the people who are out here. I am here because I heard that call. I heard that vision. I said, I have to be a part of that. I want to be in that church, doing that kind of work, doing that kind of ministry, alongside of people who also want to be a part of that. I want to give my life for that. I believe you want to give your life for that. I believe that is why we are here, to serve, to give, to make the world truly a better place for real lives. We can do that very concretely on this morning and in the next several weeks. In addition to the many things that we do as a church, right now we're focused on 3 things that I talk to the kids about. Stuffing. It's so tangible. My grandmother made the most amazing stuffing in the world. And stovetop doesn't even begin. It's what in the world, right? And yet, for so many families out there, if they knew they could have a box of stovetop stuffing this Thanksgiving, it would mean the world to them. Because they're not sure they're going to be able to provide that for their kids. They're not sure that Thanksgiving meal is going to happen. At the end of this hallway down here, we are collecting stuffing. The scouts are helping us with it. Our church has been assigned this. When I say I want to buy King Supers out of stuffing, I'm not joking. Let's do it. Let's buy the stuffing. I'm going to stuff the stuffing out of stuffing. Number 2, we're partnering with this other food drive with our youth ministries called Food for All. And when you walk out today, there's a table right here around the corner, right as soon as you get into the hallway. It's a Give Grace table. And you can pick up one of these 3 pieces of paper. One is the stuffing. The second one is buying all the ingredients for a Thanksgiving meal for a family. Imagine if you did that. Imagine if you knew this week, I have literally made sure that another family gets Thanksgiving. And the third thing we can do is sign up on Sunday, November 18th. It's in the afternoon. It's off-site. It's not here at Grace. To box up food for that Food for All drive. And no matter how young or old that you are, or in between, everybody can participate. If you're 2, you can participate. If you're 102, you can participate. Families, sign up. Grandparents, get your grandkids and sign up. We can actually do something about real life desperation, real needs, right now, by giving a little bit of our time, a little more of our money than we might typically do. Because for me, Justin Spurlock, to buy 3 or 4 extra boxes of stuffing, it just means I'm not going to drink Starbucks a couple of times this week. And I think for many of you, you're in the same situation. Okay? Because God wants you and I to redefine what greatness is. The vision, mission, and purpose of your life, of my life, of our life together is to give it away. It's to serve the needs and the desperations of others. It's to redefine what greatness is as an individual, as households, as communities, as a nation. And when we do that, we change the world. We change your world.